down. We the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to the Scoreboard USFL Championship weekend. After a long season of spring football, we finally made it. The XFL's done. The USFL is almost done. We have one more game. And it is the Stallions and the Pittsburgh Maulers, I guess, which is the more surprising one that we didn't really expect. But what do you think, Smokey, and how are you doing?
Oh, I am better than New Orleans Breakers fans right now because that was a total drubbing. We expected the game to be close, at least closer than this. I know Stallion fans obviously were expecting a blowout, and that's what they got. But a lot of people were expecting more of a point margin for the Maulers-Panthers game, which ended up being really close. But I kind of feel bad for, maybe not the whole team, maybe not DeFilippo, but I feel bad for West Hills for not shining in that game. And I think if they would have utilized West Hills, that they would have been a little more in range at least. I don't think they would have won, obviously, but I think they would have had a better chance. Don't know what happened to John DeFilippo's game plan there, but it all went downhill fast, and there was no way they were going to catch the Stallions once they pulled away like that. Good game. Good week, though. How are you?
I'm feeling great. I'm awesome. I mean, can't complain. The Stallions got it done in more than convincing fashion. I think they've gotten better and better throughout the season, and I'm feeling pretty good about this championship game, obviously. Only one thing that'll give you a slight headache is, you saw what happened with the Defenders when they played the Renegades.
Yes.
And everyone was giving it to the Defenders ahead of time. They were favored by over 10 points, I believe. Stallions are right now favored by 7. So they were favored even more in that game. And it didn't happen. Renegades got it done in the end, and in a convincing fashion. Like the Defenders kind of got blown out in that game. So that is the one thing that keeps me kind of reserved a little bit, but still I don't think lightning is going to strike twice. And I feel pretty confident about repeating and becoming the greatest dynasty in modern USFL history, maybe in USFL history, if we're looking back at the original iteration and including everything. Maybe it needs 1 or 2 more years, but I like it. I like it so far. Can't complain. Beat the Breakers, solidly beat the Breakers as we were supposed to. I did have the Panthers though. I did pick the Panthers over the Maulers, so that didn't quite work out. You had the Maulers.
Yeah, absolutely. And that actually gave me 2 correct points for last week, and that really helped me out because this is my plan just to tie. As we ended the season when you were 2 points ahead of me, I needed 2 points somewhere just to make it a tie because apparently, except for like 2 seasons of any given league that we've covered out of, I don't know, we've had to cover 10 seasons so far of all the leagues put together, and we've tied on like 8 of them. So it's going to be fitting if I pull this off somehow. I know exactly who you're going to pick, and I'm going to let you make your statement. You back that up somehow here in a minute, and I'm going to try to make the opposite. But either way, I need 1 more point to tie it up, and that will be a fitting end to the season. And I think right now, we are still very close, both of us, me with that extra point, to having 75%. I need this win right here so that we both end up pretty much exactly at 75. But it will be a great end to a season if I can pull this off.
If you can pull it off, and you'll have to pick the underdog, as you could probably expect, because I'm, for many reasons, will pick, obviously, the Stallions. They're coming in as champions. They've been the best team all season long. I know some people didn't want to believe it. Some people wanted the Breakers above them. Some people wanted the Showboats at some times. The Gamblers, whoever above them, even the Stars in the first week or two. Never came to be. I was steadfast the whole year, and I said the Stallions are still going to be the best team when it's all said and done, and they're still going to win the championship. So that's no reason to diverge from that at all. And secondly, of course, I still want to win the prediction game, right? So I'm going to take the favorite.
Yeah.
It's giving me the best chance to do it. And so Stallions, absolutely. There's nothing to say. Stallions win. I'm gonna. The more interesting thing to me is actually predicting the final score or betting against the spread. 7 points right now. I'm gonna say, given what we've seen offensively against the Breakers last week, and considering the Maulers' defense is slightly better, but the Maulers is also even worse offensively. I'm gonna say 31-13 Stallions.
Wow.
Blowout.
Wow. That's I mean, I know the odds makers expect that to happen, obviously. Maybe a little closer than that, but I'm thinking more like this game right here, a 31-27 win for the Maulers. I think the Stallions are going to walk into a buzzsaw here. I think they're going to be overconfident, much like the Maulers were overconfident going up against the Panthers. I will say this: E.J. Perry was phenomenal. I don't know why he hasn't been starting in any of these spring leagues yet, because that guy was phenomenal. He proved it again. He was better this past week than he was 2 weeks ago. He's definitely got to be starting there next year, if not getting some kind of shot somewhere. Hopefully it's not the Canadian League. Hopefully he sticks around with the XFL or the USFL. I would love to see a whole season of that guy. Now, I've been trying to convince myself that this can happen just like it did for the Renegades. The Renegades had a lot of advantages that the Maulers do not have right now. Troy Williams is not Luis Perez. Luis Perez is the most accurate spring league quarterback over the past 2 seasons out of all of them. Now, you're going to make some argument for Magoo, but actually, Luis Perez is more accurate. He's just not as mobile as Magoo or McCarron or somebody like that. But Troy Williams is not that guy. He's not going to do that. Now, he is mobile, which gives me some hope there. Looking at the running backs, Groshek and Madre London, it was more of a 66-33 this past week, but usually they're splitting 50-50, just like CJ Marable and Ricky Pearson were this past week on the other side. So I got to say that running backs are fairly close. I mean, obviously I'm giving quarterback to Magoo right now, so that's tough. As far as wide receivers, Davion Davis and Deion Kane, I don't know why these guys weren't all USFL, because they have been phenomenal, especially Davion Davis in the past few weeks. That guy has been electric, and maybe he just wasn't pulling it together at the first of the season, so they didn't throw him on the all-USFL. They absolutely should have. But looking over the other side, Isaiah Henney is a phenomenal wide receiver for a spring league. And you got Josh Simmons, Trey Walker, Ishmael Hyman. These guys are not as known as Isaiah Henney, but they are playing their part. Can't give the tight ends you can't give the tight ends to the Maulers, no matter how you look at it. And Matt Seibert is a decent spring league tight end. However, Jay Sternberger is absolutely NFL talent. I don't know why he's not on the Packers still to this day. LaMichael Petaway and Thaddeus Moss. Thaddeus Moss has not been heavily used in the passing game lately, but he is still a phenomenal weapon. There is no reason why the Maulers should win this game, except for this. I actually pulled this up earlier today. Did you know the city was named Birmingham after Birmingham in England? Obviously, the new Alabama city boomed so quickly that it became known as the Magic City. It later became known as Pittsburgh of the South, after Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania's center of iron steel production. That was a horrible reading, because my dyslexia really messes me up when I try to read things. But that's my argument here, is that Birmingham is a not so famous Pittsburgh. This is like the Iron Bowl, right? Like iron versus steel, maybe you could say. This is the iron versus steel bowl. But the fact is, Birmingham was basically modeled after Pittsburgh. So therefore, Pittsburgh is the original. Pittsburgh shall win this game in the end.
That was a really good story you told. I must have missed the part where it became an argument for the Maulers.
That's the only thing I can come up with, man. There's no reason the Maulers should win this.
In all fairness, that is probably the best reason to pick the Maulers.
Yeah.
That's probably the best reason out there. I'll give you that.
I mean, well, that and the first game they had this season was close, right? So, I mean, we were like a play away from the Maulers beating. Now, you could say that the Stallions are better at this point in time. They are peaking right now, which is the best time for them to do that. And they had that lull in the middle of the season and almost dropped one to the Maulers. Then I would feel better about the Maulers right now if they would have significantly beaten the Panthers, because that was pretty close, way too close for comfort. In that case, they should have beaten them, but like I said, EJ Perry was very impressive, so maybe that's it. They hadn't really seen much EJ Perry. They hadn't been able to game plan for it. I think it could have been a wake-up call for the defense, as a matter of fact. Playing the Panthers that close made them realize how close they were to getting knocked out of the playoffs, and if they want the championship, they are going to have to bring it all. Their phenomenal linebackers are going to have to be out there. They're going to have to shut down Davion Davis somehow. I don't know. Sternberger is even worse. Yeah, the defense is going to have to pull it together. They were much better throughout the last third of the season than they were in that game right there. So if they can't pull it together, it's definitely not going to happen. But they'll have to shut down the Stallions' scoring offense.
Yeah, it took them overtime and pretty much everything they had to determine who the least worst team in the North is. I'm not. Yeah, see, the Pittsburgh of the South thing is definitely the best argument you can make for the Maulers. Though I'll say one thing, you know what? The Maulers can be happy with the season no matter what happens. Like, they've exceeded expectations. That's true for sure, right? Because they came in as arguably the worst team in the league, the laughingstock. They just changed their colors to look more like the Steelers, and no one likes them anyway. And now at least they've won their division. They've overachieved at this point. They had a quarterback switch halfway through the season. We had them at 8 in the power rankings for a long time, 7 or 8. So can't complain about that. Can't complain about it. Maulers been doing good. Of course, it would have been a bit more impressive if any team in that division was competent in any way, but we know they can be a dangerous team. So that game you brought up with the Maulers and the Stallions in the regular season. Very true. Very true. It was a close one. But it was the game where Alex Magoo won his MVP with that phenomenal play that he made that should be currently voted on for the play of the year, which it is not, which we'll get to later. The final 2 plays are currently getting voted on, and it's not part of it. That's when he sealed the MVP. That's when he sealed the Stallions being the favorites to win the whole thing, and that's when it became clear to me that because of that quarterback, the Stallions are going to beat every team in the league, because it looks like he's like a fluky player because he always seems to like pull off these magic tricks. But he does it so consistently, and remember, like, he reminds me a lot, and I don't even like to make this comparison for multiple reasons, but it reminds me a lot of like prime Russell Wilson, the way that he plays. Now, of course, he got drafted by Seattle back in the day to back up Russell Wilson, and that there's a parallel there, and also, of course, I don't like Russell Wilson or the Seahawks, but that's the kind of plays that he's making. And but Russell Wilson back then, it also seemed fluke. You know, he was escaping sacks, and he was kind of just getting out of the pocket and making, like, extending a play by 6, 7, 8 seconds out of the pocket, and somehow finds a way to do it either downfield or with his feet. And that's what Alex Magoo is doing currently in the USFL. I expect him, although I would not like for it to happen, I expect him to be on an NFL roster, because that is, you know, serious explosive talent. And if you're seeing that, I think an NFL team will most certainly give it a shot. There's a couple teams that could have him start, and it would give them a spark. Whether the passing and the speed, the processing speed of the passing game will hold up to the NFL level is a different question. But he certainly has the talent. He was in the NFL before. He's head and shoulders above the USFL. And because of him, and because of those abilities, if this becomes a close game, I still think that the Stallions have the upper hand, because they have the best player on the field who constantly works miracles. as he did in the regular season against the Maulers. And if he has to, he'll do it again. I don't think he will have to. I think the Stallions will run away with it like they did against the Breakers. But even then, we have that insurance policy that I think makes us the favorites. And by us, I mean the Stallions, obviously. So I'm glad you're picking the Maulers, because you kind of have to pick the Maulers anyway, but it also makes it more exciting for our prediction game. I'm not budging of the Stallions. So I wanted to ask you though, if you were presented with this line, 7-point spread at the moment, you were forced to bet $10. Who are you going with?
$10. I'll take the Maulers. I'll take that chance. I kind of wish the line was a little more. I wish it was more like 10 points, so I could throw some money on the Maulers. I would feel better about the amount of money I'm going to make back with that. Are we taking the Maulers or Stallions straight up, or plus the points? Like Stallions.
In our prediction, we're taking them straight up, as we always do.
Yeah,
but hypothetically, I want to talk about the odds. Yeah.
Because I'm not a big gambler, I don't bet a lot. So, you can make more money by taking the Maulers straight up, though, right?
You can take the money line. Yeah, you can.
Okay. I would take the Maulers straight up in this game. I mean, I'm picking them here just because I have to, but also if there's going to be that big of an increase and it's only $10 to spend, I'll take the Maulers straight up there and take the chance on winning more money.
So. No, if we're I think either the spread and the money line, I'll take the Stallions. I'm thinking about the break point where I would start to consider going the other way, but I feel like it would have to be 11, 12 points. I think at 10, at 10 is tough. 10, I might still take the Stallions minus 10. Because they can put up points in a hurry, right? So if we say it's okay, assume the Stallions win. It's very likely to me that they'll win by double digits. I think it's less likely that they win a 1-score game than for them to win a more than 2-score game.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think if the Maulers wins, it's going to be a really close game. If the Stallions win, it's going to be by 2 scores. I agree with that, yeah.
If the Maulers win, it's going to be last second field goal off of a fumble snap to the punter with 2 weird holding calls. Yeah, but if the Stallions win, there's a good chance it's just over in midway to the third quarter like it was against the Breakers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I will say this also. There was that phenomenal play by Magoo against the Maulers. He also had his worst passing game of the season, I believe, in that game. He went 17 for 29, 157 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions in that game. Now he made it up on his feet.
It was his worst game. Yeah. It was his worst game of the season, and that's exactly what I'm saying. He can have his worst game of the season again this Saturday and still win. That's why I like this insurance thing of he'll make some kind of miracle, and the Maulers don't produce that kind of offense. Two or three solid drives, 1 miracle, that's enough.
I think the Maulers are better than they were then, though. I mean, obviously the Stallions are peaking also, like I said. But also, the Maulers kind of are, at least with their defense. They're the best defense in the league. I know they didn't show it that much against E.J. Perry because they couldn't game plan for a guy they hadn't seen, really. But I don't know. If they pull that together and they get back on track, this could be a really close game. I'm starting to believe that there is a good chance. Skip Holtz, the son of Lou Holtz, that he has much more experience than Ray Horton, especially in these spring leagues. I don't know. That's probably the only points I can make for that argument, but yeah.
The cities argument is probably a good one.
Yeah, that's probably the best one. I'm trying. I keep trying to come up with new ways to make this argument.
Yeah, I don't know. It's running out of stuff real quick.
Yeah.
One thing, though, that I have to contest as well that you said about involving Luis Perez. Elgin Magoo has a higher completion percentage than Luis Perez this year. Being even the scrambly miracle maker quarterback that he is, higher completion percentage for more than twice the touchdowns and still fewer interceptions than Luis Perez. Not even mentioning everything he does on the ground.
But not Luis Perez last season though, when he was playing for the Generals combined, right? I haven't done the side by side analysis, but I know Luis Perez was absolutely the best in the USFL last season, although Magoo didn't play the entire season like he has this year because of Jalen
Last season, Perez was good for the Generals, that's true. Mm-hmm. He had a higher completion percentage than anyone in the league, and he only threw one interception, but he has fewer passing touchdowns in 2 seasons combined than Magoo has in 1. That's one thing. And Alex Magoo was in a rotation. He only took like 30-40% of snaps last year also.
I'm also going to take out the time he spent with the Vipers because that team was an abject failure. Like that was a disaster. That team was a dumpster fire.
Okay. All right.
I will take what Perez did with the Generals last year, add it to what he did with the not the Argonauts, but the Renegades, and put those two together and put it up against Magoo. Like, maybe volume-wise, Magoo. And he also does a lot with his feet, whereas Perez doesn't. But Perez was so deadly accurate. Yeah, like one interception for the entire season last year. That's phenomenal for a spring league. Whereas Magoo had 2 in 1 game against the Maulers.
Against the Maulers.
Yeah.
That's a 20 touchdowns though. Like 3rd in rushing touchdowns, not among quarterbacks, but among players in the league. I don't know, man. If I had to bet who of those two will be in the NFL again, I'm taking Magoo.
Well, yeah, of course, because Perez actually made it onto a roster last year with the Rams, but he didn't hang around after camp or anything. I was kind of hoping to see him play backup, but I think he's better. I mean, obviously, the level of competition is not there in these spring leagues like it is in the NFL, but the guy really... And he has no business being as good as he is, in my opinion. He admittedly self-taught by watching YouTube videos on how to play quarterback, and he became as proficient as he is at playing quarterback. It's phenomenal. That's why I like the guy. Of course, he's probably never going to make it on an NFL roster, but as far as spring league go, I really like Perez, and I think he's a phenomenal quarterback.
That's fair. He could be one of the superstars of spring football for years. Yeah. That is very
Jordan
true.
Teamo,
absolutely.
Another one.
Yeah, there's another one. Yeah. One more thing. We have to quickly talk about the USFL. Just a couple of hours ago has announced part of their season awards. Have you seen the news about that yet?
Oh, no, I haven't seen this yet.
Okay, before you look it up, let me just give you the award name and I'll just let you guess. Okay? Just let you guess who you think won it. Okay. Special Teams Player of the Year.
Oh man, I'm actually Aguayo. I'm blanking on the name right. The Stars kicker.
Luis Aguilar?
Aguilar, yes. I don't know why I was saying.
See, I was thinking that was likely too, but they gave it to Derek Dillon.
Really?
For the because of the return game, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I think, and also he still has. I think he's still in the running for the Play of the Year now. Mm-hmm. He had that. He returned that field goal against the Maulers. He returned that kick 6 field goal for a touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah, the kick 6.
So he actually won that one. Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh man, it's not your guy for the Stallions, so I'm guessing Ginder.
It's not. It is Ginder. Yeah, Frank Ginder. They could have picked multiple Michigan Panthers there, and maybe Pittsburgh as well. But Frank Ginder, I think, is a good choice. He led the league in interceptions for a long time. I'm not sure if he still does right of hand, but as a linebacker, there was a time halfway through the season where he led the league in tackles and interceptions, and that is pretty much automatic Defensive Player of the Year and Offensive Player of the Year.
Oh well, Magoo, obviously, right?
Actually, they gave it to Mark Thompson.
Oh wow.
For the Gamblers, and the reason for that being is I believe they do, because Magoo is going to be the MVP of the league. So if they don't want to give out like 2 awards to the same person, they don't do it in the NFL either, right? The MVP never wins Offensive Player of the Year, so that this kind of makes sense to me. Mark Thompson just for the touchdowns. Mm-hmm. I think that's okay. Could have considered Corey Coleman as well, if you wanted to get one more name for the Stars in there again.
Yeah,
but
or Wes Hills.
I think these are worth of fun. Or Wes Hills, that is true. Another great running back.
Yeah.
That is very true. Yeah, I'm assuming Magoo is going to be MVP. Don't know when that's going to be announced. Might be after the season, but he's going to be MVP championship MVP and back-to-back champion as well, and probably leaving for the NFL, which is unfortunate, but that's how it goes. And for the play of the year, I mentioned it before, but we're in the final two. And both plays of the year are Memphis Showboat plays, by the way.
Wow.
Believe it or not. Derek Dillon's kick 6 return, and then Ryan McDaniel, the one-handed catch that he made. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that was against the Gamblers, I believe, and the kick return obviously against the
kick 6.
against the Maulers. Yeah, exactly. Who do you think is gonna win?
I would go with the kick 6. I mean, the one-handed touchdowns are getting more prominent these days. We see them.
See them too often?
Yeah. Kick 6s are still legendary whenever they happen.
That's true. I still very much remember one very particular
an Iron Bowl one.
I don't like to remember, but I do remember.
Yeah, absolutely.
An Iron Bowl one. That's right. Yeah, I think kick 6s are usually like the biggest play.
Yeah.
Even though I low-key wanted the big punt, the 84-yard punt to win it.
That was phenomenal now.
Yeah. I was like giving recognition to that. But yeah, Showboats definitely living up to their name. And if only that, because they couldn't make the playoffs, but they sure can make some plays for show.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm expecting the kick 6, and I don't know if they give away Coach of the Year, but if they do, I'm gonna go Skip Holtz.
Oh,
what do you think? Do you disagree?
I want it. Well, no, I can't at this point. I mean, I would have went Todd Haley if the end of the season would have worked out better, but no, you can't really argue Skip Holtz at this point. Like, there might be however many people they have voting here. This is fan voted. All these are fan voted, right? Or is it just the plays of the years that were fan voted? But
the plays of the years is definitely fan voted. The awards, I don't know.
Okay, but either way, there's going to be a very small portion of people that pick John DeFilippo. There's a lot of Breakers fans out there. Don't get it wrong. There is a ton of Breakers fans out there. If you listen to any of the USFL shows on YouTube or podcasts, most of those guys are Breakers fans for some weird reason. So there's going to be some John DeFilippo picks, but that's got to be overwhelming for Skip Holtz at this point.
I would think so. Yeah. I hope. Sure would hope so. But we'll see. I'm assuming those will get announced like either on Friday night or next week. Don't know. We'll see. But the MVP to me is pretty clear. Coach of the Year kind of as well.
Yeah.
We'll see how the play of the year works out. Alright, so do you have anything else to add for this week? First of all.
No, I guess that's it for this week. Go Maulers.
Go Maulers. Okay.
Yeah, I moved across Pennsylvania now. I'm no longer a Stars fan. I'm a Maulers fan. You didn't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, that is rough.
I got my terrible towel out.
You arguably have downgraded. That's possible. We'll see how you think about that at the start of next season.
Yeah, absolutely, we will.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I have a suggestion though, and it's the following: if the Maulers win, you have to get some piece of Pittsburgh Maulers paraphernalia. And if the Stallions win, I'm going to get a piece of Stallions paraphernalia.
Absolutely. I'll take you up on that. And I will wear it on my YouTube channel.
The Maulers thing?
Yes, if they win, I will do that.
You will have to wear it next year during USFL predictions when you're a Stars fan again.
Oh, man, that's tough. Oh. All right.
Especially when they play the Maulers.
All right.
All part of the deal.
Oh, man. All right. I'll take you up on that. Go Maulers.
Next time I'll make you buy a Saints jersey.
No. That's not going to happen now. That's
too much?
That's an island too far away right there, man.
The Crimson Tide jersey?
No.
No? Okay.
No. Not going to happen.
I'll do it. Okay. We'll stick with the Maulers for now.
Yeah.
I'm expecting that I'm going to be the one getting a Stallions shirt here, which I kind of want anyway, especially if they're winning back-to-back championships. Hopefully, can import it to Europe. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see how it goes next week. So maybe next week we can do like a review kind of show. And then, believe it or not, it's about time for the NFL already. It's NFL preseason time, so yeah. I like this. I like the spring leagues because the USFL's done, and you sort of get like 3 weeks like off in July, and then it's NFL time.
Absolutely.
So there's really no breaks, which is good for us, I guess. So thank you for watching, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one.
Deuces.